Is it because the temperature in Vegas is still too hot, making even the 1.5 billion dream in the heart of this city evaporate in the blink of an eye? The Venetian, once considered a symbol of Venice in the desert, an empire that replicated the grandeur of ancient Europe, is now mired in a harsh reality: plummeting revenue, mounting debts, and 8,500 employees on the brink of job loss. The halls that were once filled with laughter and the sound of flipping cards now echo with the empty footsteps of reduced shifts. One can blame the market, operating costs, or changes in tourist preferences. But deeper than that, the fall of the Venetian is like a wake-up call. That even dreams built of marble and gilded with gold cannot withstand the heat of the times. As Vegas transforms, and its glorious past is gradually swept into the whirlwind of reality. In today's video, we'll explore what's truly burning the Venetian from within, and why this collapse can be a harbinger of a Las Vegas entering the darkest new chapter in its history. How many more people will have to pay the price for this collapse? Let's find the answer together right now. When it opened in 1999, the Venetian was hailed as one of the most expensive projects on the planet, a symbol of the belief that Las Vegas would continue to grow and shine forever, as bright as lights that never dim. The financial world calls it the crown jewel of the Strip, while analysts see it as the pinnacle of the casino real estate boom, a time when every inch of land on the Strip turned to gold. In the early years of the century, Las Vegas was like a miniature version of the world. Just a few blocks away, you can travel through civilizations. The Eiffel Tower from Paris, Las Vegas, the pyramids and Sphinx at the Luxor Hotel and Casino, or the Statue of Liberty, Brooklyn Bridge, and a miniature Manhattan in the New York Hotel. Vegas is not just a city in America, it is an artificial world where humanity has gathered all its dreams, erected in the middle of the arid Mojave Desert. You don't have to travel the world comes to Vegas. That's exactly what people are still proud of when they talk about Vegas. And among those bold structures, the Venetian is the brightest gem. With architecture reminiscent of ancient Venice, winding canals, gondolas, gliding beneath an artificial sky, and hundreds of luxury shops lining the walkways, this place makes visitors believe they are standing in a wonder amidst the desert. A place where dreams, luxury, and illusion merge into one. However, after more than 2 decades, that dream began to fade. In 2022, when Las Vegas Sands sold the Venetian to Apollo Global Management, one of the largest private equity funds in the United States, the golden light of the jewel of the Strip seemed less brilliant than before. Beneath the veneer of luxury, the building began to deteriorate rapidly, revenue declined, and the traditional casino model, once the soul of Vegas, no longer appealed to younger generations who sought experiences over gambling. To save the slowly fading icon, Apollo Global Management launched a bold plan, investing $1.5 billion not in new construction, but in renovating, expanding, and revitalizing the Venetian. Their goal wasn't just to renovate a resort, but to revive an entire era, transforming Venetian into the most modern entertainment, conference, and casino hub in Las Vegas, where nostalgia for ancient Venice blends with technological innovation, featuring AI-driven entertainment experiences and spaces imbued with American grandeur. With Apollo, it was a blood transfusion to revive a dying icon. But for those who have lived in Vegas long enough, they understand that every investment here is a gamble. And in the summer of 2025, the bookmakers seem to no longer hold the winning hand. Because this time, the players are the tourists, and they are starting to leave the betting table. According to the Las Vegas Convention and Visitors Authority, international visitor volume to Vegas in 2025 decreased by 13% compared to the same period the previous year. Mayor Shelley Berkeley admitted that the flow of visitors from Canada, Nevada's largest international market, has dwindled to a trickle. Even high rollers from Mexico, who were once a huge source of profit, are disappearing from the Venetian casino. And the problem doesn't stop at the border. Domestic American travelers are also shifting toward more affordable destinations like Texas or Florida, where accommodation costs are low, the atmosphere is relaxed, and the experiences are still sufficiently appealing. Meanwhile, the Venetian, which caters to the high-end tourist segment, suffered the heaviest losses. The $1.5 billion investment, once hailed as the final effort to regain the summit, now takes on the appearance of a life-or-death gamble. Observers are understandably concerned that if the decline continues, Venetian could follow in the footsteps of the Mirage, another iconic property that was once abandoned, sold for a low price, and eventually removed from the Las Vegas map. The biggest problem isn't the architecture, but the lack of returning customers. When international and conference guests didn't increase as expected, that massive investment began to turn into a financial burden. The new conference halls were still lit, but there were more empty seats than expected. According to the latest report from Las Vegas Sands Corp. LVS, the former parent company of Venetian, reported net revenue of $2.86 billion for the quarter, a decrease of approximately 3.4% compared to the same period last year. 3.4% might sound small, but when scaled to the size of the Venetian, that figure equates to approximately $97 million, nearly the annual revenue of a luxury hotel chain or a Vegas casino that just evaporated. And so the familiar solution to the problem of declining revenue was put forward: cut staff. But this time, it wasn't just a few hundred people in the kitchen or on the casino floor. It's 8,500 people, chefs, housekeepers, maintenance technicians, who once illuminated the luxurious dreams of Venetians, now sitting and waiting for an email that will determine their future. Meanwhile, the $1.5 billion renovation project continues, with the promising vision of "Bring Vegas back to glory." The drilling machines still echoed, the construction lights still shone through the night, and investors still talked about an era of renaissance. But on the other side of the soundproof wall are lives that have been silently erased. Perhaps the problem of Venice has never been just about numbers, because sometimes, in the effort to rekindle the glorious light, people forget a simple truth. Not every crack can be filled with money. Pink is a color that symbolizes dreams and hope. However, for the employees at the Venetian Resort Las Vegas, that pink color on the cards suddenly became a death sentence for hundreds of people, and a prolonged nightmare for the remaining 8,500 employees. The official announcement stated that only under 50 senior employees were laid off, including those who previously held key positions in hotel operations, marketing, casino hosts, and event planning, banquets, bar meetings. But behind that seemingly small number, the entire human resources system of Venetian is on the brink of collapse. If even core members of the operating apparatus can be eliminated, who is truly safe anymore? Not to mention, when the management structure is cut, those who remain have to shoulder a huge additional workload, while the working hours and tips of frontline staff are severely reduced. Those directly affected are not just middle-level leaders. These are also the housekeepers, stage lighting technicians, service staff, the people who were once the soul of the resort. Many people who have worked for over a decade are now forced to find additional part-time jobs, from delivery driving to restaurant serving, just to make ends meet for next month's bills. According to management's explanation, this is part of the Simplify Management Structure strategy, which helps the company make decisions faster and more effectively. But behind that smooth layer of words lies a bitter reality. Venice is having to cut labor costs to offset the $0.5 billion investment that is weighing it down. By July 2025, internal reports showed the resort was undergoing another round of quiet layoffs, described as a response to slow business and rising union costs. Multiple sources report that Venetian revenue decreased by 10–15%, forcing management to lay off more employees, but still breaking down the numbers each time to avoid the WARN Act regulations. a law requiring 60 days' notice if laying off 50 or more people. Ironically, while hundreds of employees were being laid off, the Venetian continued to pour money into its $1.5 billion renovation project, from new VIP gaming floors to opulent ultra-luxury suites. While the walls were upgraded with Italian marble, a series of workers had to leave what they once called their second home. A long-time waiter sighed. They're changing the lights, changing the carpets, and even changing the people who used to keep this place bright. For many, this loss is not just the loss of a job, but the loss of the stable life they had worked to build for decades. Some people worry about not having enough money for their children to continue their university education. Others have to stop buying high blood pressure medication because they no longer have health insurance. And there are also people who don't know where their family's next meal will come from. They were once the people behind the Vegas glamour, cleaning every hall, preparing every banquet table, and keeping this city of dreams always shining. But now, the Venetians seem only interested in class, forgetting who created it. And what's even more heartbreaking is, Venetina isn't the only case. In 2025, a series of resorts along the Strip, such as MGM, Wynn, and Caesars, quietly cut staff, particularly seasonal workers and middle management, leaving thousands of families in a precarious situation. This is not just a job crisis, it's the silent collapse of loyalty and professional pride. Those who once proudly considered themselves part of the Venice of the desert now stand by and watch from afar as the very castle they built slowly loses each brick bearing their name. If the glory of an empire must be illuminated by fading livelihoods, is that light still worth looking up to? After the rounds of layoffs, the organizational structure of the Venetian completely changed. When middle management layers are removed, many departments become thinly staffed in terms of responsible personnel. A technical issue in the conference room that used to be resolved in 10 minutes now takes hours because there's no one left to approve it. A technician shared that no one knows who will ultimately be held responsible anymore. The streamlining on paper has, in reality, turned into hidden bottlenecks. At the same time, many of the resort's premium services were forced to temporarily suspend or operate at a reduced capacity to save costs, from VIP bars and treatment spas to the high-end room service that was once the pride of the Venetian. The $0.5 billion infrastructure upgrade caused many areas to be blocked or rerouted, severely impacting the customer experience. For high-end travelers, every minute of waiting is a crack in their impression, and those cracks are becoming increasingly visible. Behind the scenes, the internal supply chain, which operates as the backbone of the resort, began to show signs of breaking down. The laundry department is slow to deliver due to reduced staffing. The kitchen had to change food orders at the last minute, and the taxi carrying VIP guests to the conference was late. When each small link malfunctions, the entire colossal Venetian machine begins to grind to a halt. Travel agents reflect. The customer experience at the Venetian is no longer consistent. The quality varies depending on the day and shift. Even the casino, the heart of the resort, didn't escape the decline. The number of dealing tables was reduced, and dealers had to share their work areas, leading to a sharp decline in tips. A former employee once said, "We're still under the bright lights, but no one's really playing anymore." For a group of workers who live on tips, losing a few dozen dollars a day means they have to choose between buying gas or dinner. The solution could come from what Las Vegas has always done best: putting people before profits. Some brands like MGM Resorts and Wynn have recently started piloting a retraining initiative, helping former employees learn new skills and be internally redeployed instead of laid off. For the Venetians, that was perhaps the only way to preserve their soul, before that golden light became just a coat of paint hiding an empty building. If those resort areas that were once symbols of the American dream now have to survive on cuts and fear, what will be left of that dream? The people, or just the luxurious facade they once believed they were building? As the Venetian began to wobble, the chain effect spread faster than the neon lights on the Strip. Vegas, a city that used to be never sleeps, is now starting to wake up in an unfinished dream. According to Nevada Resorts Association Factbook, the cost of expanding the statewide tourism industry has reached $18 billion, but growth has not been uniform. On one side are billion-dollar megaprojects like Venetian, Fontainebleau, or Sphere, promoted as redefining the future of American entertainment. On the other side are thousands of small businesses around Strip, restaurants, shops, bars, struggling to survive. As the Venetian shrank its operations, so did the influx of visitors into the surrounding areas. Many stores reported a 20–30% decrease in revenue, while family restaurants that were once crowded with customers now only have a few sporadic tables left. In theory, Vegas still welcomes tens of millions of visitors each year. But the structure of the crowd has changed. International and conference visitors, the two strongest spending groups, have not yet recovered as expected. Meanwhile, hotels are struggling with falling room rates and empty capacity. At Venetian, the newly upgraded ultra-luxury suites, rooms still have lights on, but the booking system shows a 15–20% lower occupancy rate over the same period. The farther away from the Strip, the more deserted it becomes. Abandoned shopping malls, for lease boards spring up even in front of once money-making stores. Not only businesses and workers also clearly feel the change. Taxi drivers and service staff around the Strip say that city is still bright, but no longer vibrant. Many people who used to work 2 shifts a day now have to take time off alternately because of declining visitor numbers. People who depend on tip, waiters, luggage staff, drivers see their pockets empty week by week while the cost of living in Nevada continues to escalate. A longtime driver said, previously, each trip to the airport was $50. Now, one day, I can only run 2 picks. A new direction is being discussed. Corporations such as Wynn Resorts and MGM International are starting to test the inclusive tourism model, diversifying tourism products, bringing local culture, art and events to the heart of the experience, instead of relying solely on luxury and gambling. This could be the way to help Las Vegas touch real people again after decades of living in the glitter illusion. If the Strip lights were no longer strong enough to hide the darkness behind them, would Las Vegas dare to learn how to shine from within like the people who created that dream? If you look from afar, the Venetian still sparkles like a gem in the middle of the desert, where luxury has never been cheap and illusion has never stopped multiplying. But hidden behind gilded hallways, this resort's financial book is glowing red. When the world sees just $1.5 billion promoted as regeneration investment, insiders look at it as a giant debt trap where every penny borrowed becomes a tightrope around the neck of a breathless empire. According to document Q2 2025, Hyatt Hotels Corporation, unit related to Venetian as licensing suite contract reports, having $1.5 billion revolver capacity available, reflecting the huge capital scale attached to this renovation project. But amid rising interest rates, escalating operating costs, and a decline in high-spending customers, that investment is gradually shifting from hope for a renaissance to financial burden. The Venetian's problem lies in the model that itself was once iconic: dependence on high-spending international guests and luxury conference guests. When these two groups level off, revenue falls freely. Electricity, water, maintenance, and labor costs are rising faster than room occupancy rates, causing profit margins to erode every quarter. An analyst describes, Venetian is not expanding, but is living off inertia, pays off debt, rotates capital, keeps the light bright for another day or that day. Under the Vegas light, people still talk about renaissance, about golden age coming back. But in reality, Las Vegas is stuck in the same debt pattern it creates, where investing more does not mean prosperity, but sometimes just a way to delay the fact that the lights are fading. If an empire once built from gold is now being drowned out by its own dollars, will Vegas have the courage to admit that is sometimes the most luxurious thing it needs to trade is my own illusion? Looking down from above, the Strip still glows like a sleepless circuit. But amid billboards, LED lights, and a bustling night orchestra, the Venetian the iconic gem of Las Vegas, is entering a decisive moment. After layoffs, a revenue crisis, and a $1.5 billion investment are becoming a double-edged sword, the whole city is watching. Will the Venetian survive by changing or collapsing with old aura? Currently, analysts predict three main directions that Venetian could choose. First, narrow down the segment to keep a premium image. This is the choice of many brands that want to preserve luxury class, focusing on serving business groups, conferences, and the super rich. However, this means abandoning the middle-class segment, which was the soul of Vegas in its golden years. As the city loses its group of luxury budget, guests who once put their trust in Vegas as where can touch dreams, lavish lights may still be on, but Vegas's heart will cool. Second, expand the middle segment and localize the operating model. This is a bold direction with the spirit of community recovery. Venetian can host locals nights, discounts on weekends, or collaborate with local artists to create an intimate, sustainable experience. In this way, the resort can pull people back downtown, making Vegas a true return to not just a place to spend money, but a place where people meet, share, and live. But in return, Venetian had to accept a difficult reality, lowering degrees and sacrificing part of short-term profits to rebuild long-term trust. Third, create regional economic alliances to regenerate the entire ecosystem around the Strip. In a context where hundreds of small businesses are struggling with costs and absent customers, Venetian can become a nucleus of cooperation, sharing customers, supplies, and organizing events with local restaurants and stores. This is not just a business strategy, but a survival plan for the whole city. As giant resorts join together with the community, Vegas can escape the lavish oasis image to return to its original nature, a city of opportunity and real people. Las Vegas was once a place where Americans found hope, not just with money, but with the desire to live better. Can Vegas come back to life? Not thanks to the golden light, but thanks to the light from the people who once made it shine. The Venetian, symbol of luxury and belief in the American dream, now seems to stand between two worlds. On one side is a brilliant past with melodious music from gondola and eternal yellow lights. On the other side is a fading reality, where the hands that once kept that light alive are gradually being forgotten. Perhaps Las Vegas's biggest mistake lies not in investment numbers or economic decisions, but in the belief that flashiness can replace people. But if the history of Vegas has taught us anything, it is this. This city has always known how to revive from the ashes. The lights will turn back on. But this time, perhaps not thanks to billion-dollar investments, but from ordinary people, housekeepers, taxi drivers, cocktail waiters, people who used to make dreams come true every night. Can a city built on illusion find its true soul? And if the Vegas lights go out, what will be left of the memories, or just debt and empty buildings? If you believe that stories like Venetian are not just about a casino, but a mirror of America today, please like, share, and subscribe to continue our journey of discovery together behind the bright lights of the American dream. Because sometimes, only when we look at the cracks can we see the real light passing through. What you just heard is not intended to judge, blame, or hold accountable any individual or organization. This is not a story of sin, but a picture of the changing times where once prosperous systems are reflecting on themselves. Numbers, data, and statements are quoted based on public sources, financial reports, and official statements as of the time of recording. Some factors may change over time. An analytical interpretation does not represent any formal statement or absolute assertion.